Oh, this is interesting. Okay. Let's test this out. Na 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 na. Let's test this out here. It is hot. Oh my god, it's hot. All right. So, litter box is cleaned. Cat is happy. Let's see. All that's left to do is to do some things. Anyways, hey folks, this is Cetriya, Cetriya, and it is a sudden stream because I did absolutely nothing today. I'm drinking some wine, very thin wine. Yeah, I did absolutely nothing today, and I'm just trying to get myself to get into doing some things. So what I'm going to be working on right now is kind of composition ideas and notes because I need to work on some things. So let's make some tips about compositions. First thing I tend to do actually is just make some general bounding box. That's roughly the size of the paper you're going to draw or whatever composition bounding that you want to go for. I used to do this for comics also, so this will just, it's kind of nostalgic to me. Let's get into working on this. I have a goal this year to actually complete some like full illustrations and not just some headspace illustrations. The reason being is I've been looking at some of my stuff lately and I'm not exactly proud of my work. So let's look up some things. Okay. All right. Usually what I like to use is to get the composition with some simple tools, some pencil work, and usually a shade color, something not too dark. So hey Naftali, it's been a while. I know it's been a while on my end from actually live streaming, but glad you can join. I'm just going to be going through a couple of things and probably cut the video up later, but this is just a surprise stream and testing out a new camera because I was forced to buy one because of planned obsolescence, and just practicing for the New Year's live stream. So but yeah, if you have like a tutorial request, you might as well let me know. I'll either work on it on the stream if I can, or I'll add it to my to-do list because I have a pretty large, like a very large like calendar where this year one of my goals is being consistent. So I plan to post some videos, art videos and tutorial videos, kind of a mix of a thing. This might be a bit dark. Right now I'm just picking out shade colors for my composition, and I'm gonna rough out some thumbnails. I want to get back into doing my comics again, so get that working. So right now I can tell that I definitely would need like something else to put my camera on because it's connected to my table and that doesn't go well. And how to deal with like ambient lights and stuff like that. Let me take this out. So I think my last video that I worked on or I posted was the Crayola marker stuff. And I've really been using like a lot of Crayola stuff. They're just great for like cheap rough draft, because I remember way back when I watched a tutorial and someone was making a lot of like rough draft art with really expensive stuff like Crayolas and not Crayolas, Copics. And it just looking at them right now, it's just kind of cringe because those are way too expensive to be doing like rough drafts, you know? So I'm just taking out grays right now. And I know someone had posted in my community post that in general, like, okay, so I got myself 2 shades of gray. 2 shades of gray, pencil, eraser, and you'll see why I'm using the 2 shades of gray pretty quickly in creating some compositions. So this will be kind of intuitive as I've gone throughout life, and you collect like visuals. Like if you look at things, you just kind of develop like a mental library when it comes to these things. So hopefully it's not too confusing how I explain about some of the compositions. And I'm coming at this like pretty blank, like my mind is pretty blank. So just in case for those of you who've been having difficulty coming up with something. So different ways for doing composition. There's more technical ways of doing it, but what I tend to like to do is I tend to just like my first thing is like coming up with just some kind of abstract shapes that I like. Usually cutting up the frame by 2/3. So this is like 1/3 and this is 2/3. And the other thing I like to do is having 3 sides of the paper touched. So it could be touched this way, it could be touched that way, it could be touched this way. And from there, you're kind of already like cutting up in 3, and hopefully you can actually see what the lines are not too, it's not too thin. Let me see if I darken it out a little bit. Hopefully that's a bit more clear for you guys. So that's pretty much what I tend to do. And it doesn't have to be triangles. It could be circular stuff. So you can have 2 circles. And then you can see that it's touching 3 sides of the paper corner. So 1, 2, 3. You know, you could do like this way and then like that. So you got 1, 2, 3 sides of the paper. So that's like the quick overview that I do. So using these shapes, even if you go like this, and now you have 4 sides of the corners touch. And from there, using these shapes, I tend to go ahead and develop an element. So I'm gonna pause for a second, answer a question or two. So if you have any questions or requests, let me know while I mentally process filling out these shapes. So, can you do a tutorial mixing the primary color from Crayola markers to make skin tones? Primary colors are pretty saturated, so you can't take primary colors and turn them into skin tones. It's either it has it or it doesn't, but I can mix it from watercolors because you can lighten the color, whereas with um Crayolas, if they don't come with like a shade of skin, like you can't take yellow and turn it brown. Um, you can't take, if it's if it's color pencils, then yeah, you can, because Crayola comes in like these brown color pencils. So you can go from like really, really dark to really, really light. You can do that. But for like, and I'll just show it right here. But for markers, you can't really do that unless, I'm not even sure if you can even do it that manner. Let me see if I have a Crayola that's not skin tone. Crayola. Do I? Let's see. I mean, it would be kind of weird to process it that way, wouldn't it? It's an old marker. And for the most part, Crayolas are water soluble. Yeah, that's pretty. I mean, I guess you can get like old Crayolas and watercolor them. And from there, you could kind of lighten it up. But it's just one of those things that if you don't have those colors because it's in a marker form, because it doesn't matter what kind of marker company that you use, if you just don't have that color, it's, unless you're going for very stylized illustration, it's pretty much, you can't do that. But that's part of the reason why I liked watercolor. And that was one of my community tabs. I've been using the community tabs a lot, but that was one of my polls in that, which guys do you think is better, watercolors or markers? And it was pretty much 50-50. And I'm going back to saying it's pretty much watercolors, but markers are like easier to clean. So that's pretty much what I would go it for. So, okay. So let's see here. What would I like to do? Other ways that you could come up with composition is literally just going out and looking up, graphic design things, and not just of illustration. It could be of like menus, it could be of posters, CD covers, web design. You'll see like the different variations of the graphic designs where it kind of show you that. So right now I'm just thinking of what I should draw. This year, I think I want to actually get back into writing my stories. I am mentally coming into an issue of designing the characters, and I just really want to work through designing like the characters for me to fill in said illustrations. And I also want to do like more detailed illustrations because I've gone back to seeing some of my old stuff and just kind of like, man, I used to be able to do that, and I feel like I haven't been able to do that. So usually I draw girls, don't I? So let me not draw girls. So let's do something really funny. And right now, like I said, I'm just doing like some rough drafts. So I think other things you can do is like add dynamics by messing with like your perspective. And your perspective can be like creative perspective where you have your character sitting in different planes, but not like, and when you're doing like rough thumbnails, you're just pretty rough enough for you to get to understand what you have written, like what you've sketched basically. And actually I'm not really good at foreshortening. Other things you can do is like add cheat things. Well, they're not cheat, but like text or something. So I think I'm going to use this for a character for my web novel that I want to actually um, write. Write or draw. I haven't decided yet. I haven't even decided what his name is going to be like. Hmm. You know what? We're going to do something really, really funky here. And I've decided I know what I want. for this. For this one. Other things you can try is possibly adding like multiple characters too, which gets kind of complicated. So it's always good to like look up references of different artist styles, because if you've noticed in your like your favorite artists, you could kind of see like their go-to compositions. So it's okay to look those up because, you know, no one really has um whatchamacallit. No one has like copyright over compositions, neither color, which will be another video about picking like colors and stuff like that. It's also cool seeing like old school advertisements because they're just kind of fun. They're just kind of fun, old school advertisements. And seeing how they put the characters together, especially because I feel like to an extent people are like they're kind of depending on making the details pretty versus just getting to their basics, because now we have technology that can print all sorts of things. And it's okay to have stuff like being cropped off the artwork. You know, everything to be you don't want everything to be like on the photo itself. And it's okay if you want to do like floating characters and stuff like that. So I'm just adding elements as I go. I think I'm going to do one circle one. How should I fill this in? Hmm. Uh, uh, for the Crayolas, yeah, the watercolors Crayolas is pretty much the same, like as with any other watercolor. So I'll be, I mean, yeah, I'll add that in, mixing your Crayola watercolors, I suppose. Let's see, I'm gonna put this to the side here. Okay, mixing Crayola as watercolors to make skin tones, I guess. Let me know if the music is okay. Trying to find copyright free music is a hassle. Okay. When it comes to art, it's a both things. You really should be doing like both things. You should be doing both self-taught and taking classes, whether you take classes online or you take them in person. It's a lifelong endeavor. I've done both. It has, if you don't keep practicing, like I haven't really for the last 2, 3 years, because I've been kind of burnt out, your stuff and your stuff you start to lose it. It's like exercising a muscle. If you don't keep going at the gym, eventually you lose it. And you can't spend like your whole life going to classes. You just have to do both things. So you got to do self-taught and you have to do the same. Oh, it's all good. It's a surprise stream where I'm testing out a new camera, and I am just doing like quick recordings and just testing things out, but I'll actually have a scheduled stream for, I think it's Friday the 31st. I'm thinking if I want it at 10 p.m., where it's just a New Year's stream and then just keep streaming until I can't no more. My neighborhood gets pretty loud, so it's not like I can sleep anyways on the stream. So And here, let's see. I don't do groups so much. I don't do groups so much. So let's see if I can attempt to do a group. Let's see if I can attempt to do a group. And usually like groups, there's like big faces here. Keep in mind, I have like no sense of character of what I'm doing here. I'm just putting stuff just to get the point of the composition. Let's add some skirts because I'm being silly now. Let's see. I have a character throwing out his hand. I probably won't be able to read this once I'm done if I don't go and actually do the rough draft pretty soon. And then why don't we add like a tiger like character here? It looks like gibberish, right? It does. But yeah, welcome to a late stream. Okay, I'm glad the music is fine. Because it's just on a speaker on the side. Um, and I'm just like I'm trying to get better at this in general because I'm really looking back at like my old videos and it's just like, woo. I am surprised you guys can actually hear what's being said. Let's see here. Let's see, it was a group. It's a huge group. All right. And then let's do a circle one right here. Thanks for the pop-in. I don't use Crayola crayons. I don't own any. I didn't even use them really when I was younger either. I went straight for the color pencil because the crayons, they break too much. Let's see. See, I'm already biased with how the shapes that I like to use. Maybe I should have done a rectangle. Let's do a rectangle. That's why you want to reference like different artists because there's like you're gonna be biased about things. Look at this. I'm being silly now. But I'm gonna get to the next part, I promise. Now, I've either been drinking a lot or this really fancy wine is actually not that alcoholic, which is fine. It ended up making me drinking it too fast then because it just ended up tasting like a really tasty fermented drink, almost like I'm drinking kombucha, which depending on the kombucha actually has some it does actually have some alcohol in it. So, but yeah, I have quite a bit of plans for this coming year. I just have to write them all down. I have a webcomic. I've been reading quite a number of webcomics, so hopefully I can actually get into doing that a little bit. But yeah, and then a web novel and some Japanese and all of these things for next year. I'll probably will make a video about keeping up to your like artistic goals for this year. Not that I'm the best at it, but I try. Anyways, um, I'm gonna go ahead and do the next phase. So the reason why I picked two shades, and it could be markers, it could be watercolors, it could be um, pencils if you want, but this is a preference for me. I like these to help block out your shading, not your shading, but like your shapes for your composition. And the reason being is that you're able to see the image from afar. It gives it more clarity. And then you're able to see it from up close. It gives it a very strong impact. And all of these are more, there's like more information when it comes to looking up technical books of composition, but it helps for you to like come out with understanding the main parts of your illustration, and it keeps you from like overdoing it with the details, because if it's not easy for you to read, then you're just going to be like, what is going on? um so let's say that there was stuff here, and you could choose to block out the background if you wish, so it's easy for you to read what's going on. It helps because it gives like a nice strong shape, and it lets you know if you're already having issues with like your composition. um so let's say it was something a little lighter. Will this work? Oh, that's pretty bright. And it doesn't have to be gray. I just find that gray is easier on me, so I use it. Only thing is like, woo, that's weird looking. Look at this. It's like it crystallized. I don't know. What is that? Ugh. And it turned beige. It turned beige on me. Why? uh, it says warm gray, but it turned beige on me. Blocking out the shapes also helps you with like the highest contrast stuff. You'll know what's your like spot black area versus not spot black area. And again, since this is just thumbnails, we're not picking like colors or anything like that. But if ever you want something nice and quick, that's the beauty of it. And you can use like sharp shadows also for helping with like your composition and stuff like that. There you go. Welcome. It's a surprise stream. Just testing out a new camera and working through some compositions without any ideas to it. But so if you have any requests for tutorials, I might as well add them in. I'm testing this out for the New Year's live stream on the 31st, Friday. So it's about 2 weeks from now, 10 p.m. I'm going to talk about yearly goals and plans and all that jazz, especially since I want to get back into drawing like comics and illustrations and stuff like that. So thank you for joining. I don't expect too many to come in. I plan to also, I'm debating if I want to live stream on a regular too. And just have it like on a weekend, we come in, we chill and chat, and maybe hold each other accountable on these things. So I just decided what this composition is going to be like. So if you have any questions, let me know. This is also the biggest thing about like digital versus traditional. I could take these and then let's say I didn't like the composition, I can go ahead and like mess with it a little bit more. You know what I mean? Like, which I have another video about how to help with like your sketchbook so that way it doesn't suck so much. Because you see all these like on YouTube, these beautiful sketchbooks, like even their rough sketchbooks look pretty. And I'm just sitting there and I'm just like, yeah. So where's the actual sketchbook? Because this looks like a portfolio. And when you're doing these roughs, you don't have to worry so much about your anatomy as much as just knowing like what is what. Like just do a rough so you know what you're wanting. So it's more about like gestures than anything else. But yeah. Ugh. Same. And really, like I said, I'm just honestly just practicing making compositions. I'll probably splice up this part of the video and edit it down to like a proper video for coming up with compositions and stuff like that. So it's just testing things out, as I said. How do you zine to get your art seen? Have you not seen my subscriber count? I'm not that popular. I may not be the best. So I think for things like marketing and getting your stuff seen, it's very evident that I'm not really good at it. But I do share on my community tab like either marketing things, tutorials that I feel I'm not as good as that you guys would probably find helpful, or things are just like mindset, mental health planning, things like that. Because they're either better than me or it might not fit um, an art channel. Which speaking of art channels, I was looking at art channels to like get general inspiration about being a channel, what I want my channel to be like. And what I've noticed is a lot of them either became vlogs or they've become drama channels or they've become reactionary channels or they've become like channels that do fan art for whatever's trending in current media, which all of that is okay. It's just it end up it personally put me out of the loop because, for example, Squid Game, I've not watched it. I don't have interest in watching it, but I pretty much know what the show is about because it popped up on my feed so much. Um, or people reacting to the metaverse, all of these things that because I no longer am attracted to them, like it's a reaction to pop culture. I'm not. It just ended up being like okay, cool. But when it comes to like those kind of things, I can't relate, or if it's fan art, it's fan art of new series that I don't watch. I don't watch anime anymore. Not that I couldn't, I just don't as much, which was also a poll because I don't know. I don't know what to say. I like the art style and I end up getting like going back to like old school stuff, but it's not to say that the new school doesn't attract me per se. It's more like I'm just so busy and I end up wanting to do my own stuff. Okay. So we have a composition. We have like several compositions here. And just like a quick recap on building compositions, just, don't make it too hard on yourself when you're doing like thumbnail stage. You make your couple of boxes, the general like size of the paper, just rough. And you make sure that the easiest thing is to have like objects touching like at least three parts of the page, one, two, three. You have both characters touching on this side, and then you have an element touching the edge of the floor, one, two, three, and four. And then you have them in different shapes. You can start with triangles, rectangles, circles. And then after that, I usually use one or two shades of gray, or any kind of like two shades, kind of lighter than your pencil. So that way you can see it to kind of like block out your major shapes. You could even use your shadows as a shape. And just to be fun, we could also do like a horizontal type composition. Let's see, what should I do? I'm really am just coming up with stuff that I haven't thought about. Like, what should I make this one be about? Because you got to think about like what the character's gonna do. Um, that's the other thing. I'm trying to get back into my projects because I'm hitting like an art block wall so much because of the fact that I just haven't decided on what to do. Like, what should I do? What should I do? Um, let's have another little circle here. So we're doing like a roundish design. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna do like a generic sci-fi fetus. It's like a fetus kind of thing that they always do. And there's like a pod. And then, actually, we won't do that extra circle. Let's remove that extra circle because I think I like just that nice blank space. And then just have some cords attached. Sometimes you just want to use some of the shading so you know what is it that you're actually drawing. That's also part of the reason why you want the shading. It helps with the scribbles. Okay, so I know what I want. And then composition. There you go. Made that done. And there you go, a couple of compositions. You even have some horizontal ones. And you could always use like extra elements to fix your compositions, like clothing folds, hair, accessories, lines, things to draw the attention. And if you look up some books, which I will put in the description below of some books that I find really helpful compositions for, or more detailed, but I just wanted to keep this like quick, like if you're just sitting there and you just need to come up with some stuff that I just did right now, where I have absolutely no idea who these characters are. I'm just drawing stuff. That's basically it. So that's for this guy. So let's do something a little bit more fun. And then after this, I think I might end up ending the stream. Let's just draw this character because it's easy. It's just easy. Because it's easy. Let's keep life easy. Okay. And we're going to reuse this paper that has this pink smudge in it. Sorry about that. So you go back and look at thumbnails again. So I have her hip pressing. Okay. Also thinking of working on a sketchbook, kind of like get yourself moving sketchbook challenge for January, because I think January is when you're like setting up all those goals and we have like ultimate motivation, and I think getting yourself started back again would be pretty good. So I just need to decide on what needs to be done for that. More like an like it's like a surprise stream. It really is. I'm not necessarily trying to, it is a brand new sketchbook. I'm not necessarily trying to fill it. It's more like just testing out the stream, and I didn't do anything today, so I'm trying to get myself to do something good for today. So I kind of want to get back into actually drawing again, drawing a webcomic because I'm getting an art block because I haven't drawn so much. It's like, again, going to a gym or something or practicing a language. I've been getting back to practicing my Japanese. I've lost so much vocabulary. So I'm just getting back to it. And um, I don't comment about it with my sketchbook. So there might be a sense of false confidence. But in my head, I'm getting so much feedback of just how much I've lost in terms of being able to draw. So that's basically what it is. How well do you like the Crayola erasable? They're good because they're highly erasable. I might as well just use one, right? They're good because they're highly erasable. They're kind of waxy, so you can't color over them. And I might need to get me a netted eraser again. But I like that they remove, like, they get off the paper so quick, and I appreciate that. But sometimes if you layer with it, the ink kind of just glides right off over it, so it kind of defeats the purpose. And it might be hard for you guys to actually see it if I use it. So that's why I wasn't gonna use it. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I like them. I don't draw traditionally as much because in my last video, as I mentioned, I kind of complained in that I was like, I could have just done this digitally and then delete the drawing layer. But it is, I digress. My head is screaming on just how bad I have with my anatomy. So I'm definitely gonna go back to retraining myself. Because that's the thing, like, you'll never, like, stop learning. There's nothing you just gotta keep up to it. The neighborhood's starting to get noisy again because it's a weekend and it's that kind of neighborhood. Uh, Let me know if you guys can still see the sketching. I'm trying to, like, not add too much light because then it bleaches it out. But at the same time, I'm trying not to, like, draw so dark because I need to erase this. Yeah, you still kind of need to erase it or draw very light with the cool erase because uh, the inks kind of go over it depending on what kind of style you use. So let me try and pick a darker cool erase. And then after that, because these are the erasable kinds, they don't blend to each other, so you can't really use them as, like, a color pencil. So let's just, I'm trying to make sure. Let me see. Hopefully you can see it, but I'm, like, really digging into the paper. For me, I can see it, but for you guys, you might not be able to see it. I never actually like elf characters. I don't know why. I don't hate them. They're just kind of there. So I'll just use the cruel erase pencil eraser. The eraser is kind of hard too. But it erases very well, much better than regular color pencils. Okay, glad you guys can see it. So I'm thinking of, like, going a little bit more like VTuber-ish. I know a person of my age, it might not be a thing, but, like, um, I do want to have, like, the full screen kind of VTuber with my drawing of my characters and stuff like that. but we shall see, shall we? We shall see. Yeah, they're not bad. They're just I think it's kind of like Spanish. If I see it so much, it's no longer becomes exotic to me. It's just a thing. It's almost like a default. Like I expect there to be elves. And I'm in Florida, so I expect to hear Spanish. It's just that's all it is. It's not that I don't like them. It just kind of like they're not exotic to me. That's all it is. You know, I really like drawing curly hair for some reason. I don't know why. It just is. I might have a curly hair, like not curly hair, but hair in general tutorial. Cause I do listen to the comments. I do reply back. I just sometimes I'm just kind of like I'm been busy, but now I've accepted that it's not that I'm gonna be less busy. You just have to reallocate the time again. You just have to like make the time, reallocate the time, and I just find that I just feel better. I it's both work, but I do feel better like getting to doing the work. So I'm gonna do it. Okay. All right. Just so you can see like my inking. I also haven't used my like tools in like forever. So for technical brush, I think you have okay, this one actually works. This shows you how much I don't use these things as much, and I actually should. I have a whole drawer desk of them, but and I'm keeping our eyes closed for time's sake. So I get this. Let's see. I have my VTuber character drawn. It's just another avatar of me, and since it is the new year, I need to like update that. So you'll see it during the live stream next, not next Friday, but the Friday after the 31st. Also gonna be including like tutorials for folds and stuff this year. So if there are any requests, I might as well add them in. I know several times I've mentioned about me just like using YouTube as a hobby, but it's one of those hobbies like comics, which is why I'm gonna get back into it, where I just kind of don't feel right not doing more of it, if that makes any sense. And also, the way I'm holding the pen is mostly to get you guys to be able to see what I'm doing. I actually don't hold it like that, but I figured it would kind of just block everything. Okay. See if I can get this done. Okay, that works. Well, that works. Yep. Hopefully, I'll be streaming a little bit longer or more often. I don't know if it'll be a weekly thing. I might do a bi weekly thing. I definitely have the end at least once a month planned, like the last Friday of every month. Does any of these work? I spent so much money on these tools only for me not to use them. That's not right. It's not right. It's just not right. And they're good tools too. Maybe I should do just a little bit of a giveaway. I have some books that aren't going to do giveaways too, so. Yep, the time is probably 10 o'clock Friday is what I'm thinking right now because it's not that late for me. What time did I start? So maybe not 10 o'clock Friday, but like maybe 9:30 Friday. The time didn't, the time is a good time because I'm not that sleepy. It's the end of the day and then I could just chill. And I think everybody else can chill and relax. You know, you just finished eating dinner. So you could just, whatever. Um, unless Saturday is preferred by you guys. So I'll probably open up a poll on time that would be best for you. That would work for me because I am back in the office full time, folks, for a while now. To be granted, and this is a secret between me and you. Oftentimes, not often, there's like times where there's a lot of deadlines, and then there's time there's not that much deadlines. During the not that much deadlines, I just draw stuff for myself and record it. So if ever you're wondering where do I have time for like these like illustrations, like the larger ones, it's usually because of that. But they have me stuck in the office, y'all. It is what it is. So her forehead's too big. I am like impromptu on this. I know, we gotta make those bills. I mean, if they really want to pay me to just sit down there and like watch YouTube videos and surf is fine. It's just, I'm not a morning person. So them having me like there that early, which is so funny because I want to say like a third of the office now is basically not coming in on time because there really is no reason for us to be that early in order to get our work done. Like we're emailing all our stuff to China anyways. So China's not going to get our emails at 8 o'clock in the morning. And that includes like some of the bosses are not coming in on that time. Like there's a lot of us that's just not coming in that early, and a lot of people commute pretty far, so I end up making her hair a lot more detailed than I expected. See, I'm glad I did this cuz now I'm feeling not I wasn't feeling bad. I just was feeling really lethargic. But now I'm feeling a little bit better. So that's what I'm saying. Like sometimes you have to get back into drawing, not because of what other people thinks of your work or if you make a bunch of money or whatever. You just need it because it actually is good for you. It's good. It's part of your a regular diet. It's part of your regular balanced healthy diet. Do something that makes you just feel better. I just literally finished 4 days old dishes and was like, you know, let me just at least do this. And even if no one shows up, I could at least make like a YouTube short out of it, which um I don't know specifically for those live on the stream, but for you guys were like, Yeah, you could put some short of your speed paint, which is what I want to do. I'm not really like into comedy or things like that, so it's just I'm basically going to use YouTube as Instagram. I'll have like regular YouTube videos, but then I'll just be like, here's a speed paint of my art because speed paints, I don't feel like just regular speed paints are popular anymore in YouTube. So, how much battery do I have left? Let me check. 11%. I was forced to buy this new phone because this company was like, your phone won't be supported, even though my phone is barely 3 years old, but whatever, forcing you and two other people on the plan to go and buy a new phone is just, it's still there. My old phone is still here. This is the one that's playing the music because I can use it all. I could use like the internet, so it'll just be like my media phone. But it's whatever. I digress. We ain't gonna get into that. You're not stealing any idea. It's just your art is your art. How you decide to promote your art is how you decide to promote your art. Like, and that's the thing. Like, yes, I'm gonna promote it. I may not be the best promoter, but I'm really am just like looking inside myself and looking at what I've produced and I have stories that I want to tell and art pieces that I want to produce and I'm just kind of like over it cuz again, if you guys noticed in a lot of the YouTube channels for art, it's just like singular illustrations, which is fine for those who are into that. I personally am kind of like, no, that's not what I started this art journey for. It was not for like doing a bunch of like one off like this. Like this, I'm doing it real quick just so you guys can see it, but I want more than just doing art like this. I want to do full illustrations. Like I want to make pretty illustrations, not for pat in the back or anything, but it's like, no, for me to actually share my vision, I have to illustrate it. I didn't start off drawing since I was 2. I just kind of was like, I kind of need to put down my stories in something that people can actually see. So once the metaverse is able to just straight up copy my brain, that'll be the day when I officially stop drawing, probably. But until then, that's what got me drawing. It was just like, I want to say the last 2 years of high school. And I was just like, yeah, I kind of need to draw this stuff or else people won't get what I'm trying to say. I'm just making up shapes at this point. Okay. All right. Let's let this dry a little bit because that's been one of my biggest things. So I guess I abandoned this. I'll do this later. Let me know. I mean, it's just so funny seeing people talking about that. As someone who watches a lot of like dystopia and sci-fi, hearing people talk about, which ironically I've not watched Ready Player One, like things like Squid Games, Ready Player One, and stuff like that. It's not that I don't want to watch it. It's more like I kind of already watched a version of it, so I'm not into it that much. Like, for example, Squid Games, from what I understanding, is this whole class system things. Like pretty much every dystopian world is like that. If you look up the future part of Cloud Atlas, or if you look up Soylent Green straight up, it's that. Or if you look up, I haven't seen Alter Carbon, I need to look it up, but Alter Carbon has that. Battlestar Galactica had that whole series of the people who was refining like the coal or whatever, rebelling against the higher ups. Like you have all of this stuff going in, and then you have I forgot what was the one where it was a Mars. I forgot. Anyways, it was like the colonies versus the people of the government of Mars versus Earth. Like it was all of that. I mean, you have Elysium with Matt Damon. Like it's there's so much of that that by the time something like that comes up, I'm just kind of like, eh. I mean, Hunger Games, Battle Royale. Like you just have it so much that what is it, Logan's Run? Like you just kind of just like, eh, it's not that I have the interest per se. It's not I hate. I just kind of just like, eh. It's just kind of like, eh. Certain episodes of Star Trek is like that. You just kind of like, eh. But that's all I mean. It's like so with people talking about the metaverse, something that honestly is not going to be really ready until much later. But it's good. It's fine to talk about it. It's just I don't know. Sometimes it's weird. And I don't even consider myself that connected. I thought I was relatively a normal person, like a normie or whatever they call that word, because I'm not on Reddit, I'm not on any of those things, but it's just so funny when people talk about something you're just like, okay, um, it's just a program. It's just a tool, guys. It's just a tool. Yeah. I again, I'm sure this those stories are great, like Squid Games or whatever. It's just what I personally want for my stories is really talking more about the inner thoughts of man more so than the external things that we already have right now. I'm more of the why do we get to that point versus we're at that point and how we're gonna resist it. It's more like okay, we resist it, we have a French Revolution, and then we go right back to the same area again. So I just want to talk. That's the part I really want to talk about, which is why I like stuff like The Matrix and Cloud Atlas and really just, the concept Brave New World, like the concept of the person's mind when they're in a situation, what they would react. It's kind of like there's things that like right now, think about something that you don't think you would ever do, but what would get you to actually do that and why? What makes us, get to that point and what keeps other people from getting to that point? So I want more stories that talk about that inner thought, and that's part of why I want to share these stories because I'm just kind of like, okay, I guess no one's really want to write those stories, so I'm gonna share it. Uh, a show that I would suggest is actually The Continuum, except for the last season, but still watch the last season because it is Continuum is a show that really talks about what's going on now, but it was written way back when. And one of the characters, I don't really like time shows, but one of those characters end up splitting himself pretty early on in the series. And I just like the way seeing his character arc diverge and what affected him to have that kind of a divergence of a character. And then towards the last season was a good example of why good shows don't stay good because the way people like things being very like loud and explosive and everything and they just suddenly added a bunch of action at the end and then went back to the story, but there's just so much in that show. It's just this it's a good show. I think it was 3 seasons. It was a Canadian, so look up Continuum. I don't know where you can watch it because I watched it way way years ago. um just years ago I watched it, so. Oh, another good sci-fi. It doesn't really talk about human, like the mind of a human, but another good sci-fi is called the 4400. It's just 4400. Look that up. It's a good show too. You'll recognize if you watch a lot of like sci-fi, you'll recognize it. Or even like aspects of Babylon 5 and stuff. It's just I'm like going off with like old stuff. I really need to go look up like new some new shows that's going on. But new shows end up again being like so action filled that it's just like or shock value that you're just kind of like have you guys not seen the news like Been there, done that. We do, like, people do that. I live in Florida, man. Like, the stuff that you hear is the stuff that you hear. Let's see. So I was rambling mostly to give it like a short, but you can see, like, for the most part, it doesn't show that much. Like, you don't see any of it. And I could see like all my anatomical issues, but we're just gonna rock with it. We're just gonna rock with it, guys. But if you're able to use the cool erase pretty thin, like not so hard, and you ink over it, you don't need to actually erase it, because you could just scan it and the scanner won't pick up the color. That's pretty much why. But out of the pack, I wouldn't have used red, but I use red so you guys can actually see. I would use like very light blue, or even like an orange. And once you do that and you ink it in, you just scan it, you don't erase it, which is good because sometimes erasing destroys like the ink work or the paper sometimes. So we're gonna just add a little bit more here, and then let's add a little bit of more spot blacks. Also planning to have a little video about deciding like your blacks or whatever. Let's add a little bit more. Mortal Engines. I've never heard of that. I didn't even know they made a remake of the 4400s. I should look it up. Like, it's been years since I've watched this stuff. Lately I've just pretty much watched like a lot of Korean vlogs or fitness YouTube, uh, gardening, and so I haven't watched TV show. That's the thing. You only have so many hours in a day, and I don't know. I feel like, I don't know, maybe because I'm old. I'm not old, but for YouTube, for the internet, I'm old because everybody's 16 going on 21. But I've just not been finding myself watching like series or TV shows that much, or too much entertainment stuff as much, but I do watch like chill stuff. So people cleaning, people drawing. Which, speaking of drawing, I need to look to see if Holly has updated anything yet. That's the other thing, is like, I want to eventually actually do the 100 days of making comics and actually do it. Like, actually complete the challenge, even though it's no longer popular anymore. I just, I just, I don't know. Lately, I've just been trying to like kick myself into gear of actually drawing and actually getting my work stuff and figuring out how to do webtoons, because um, I don't think people buy. I mean, manga sales are still up, but like, I think for my first couple of stories, I really want to focus on actually proper storytelling and getting into the habit of drawing. And then later on, I could like go back to drawing like a full comic book layout. Okay, I'll take a look at the books. That's the other thing, is I want to get back to actually reading, because if I'm going to be writing a web novel, I need to know how to actually write. And you only could do that by looking up, by just getting used to the English language, that even though it's my first language, it might as well have not been, because I'm just so bad at it. Oh my goodness. This is one thing I'm not good at, is writing. I used to get so much comments in English class, like, because my concept is good, and usually pretty in depth or deep, but then to actually execute said concept is like, what are you doing? Ah, I'm probably gonna have to get off pretty soon. My phone is dying. This new phone that takes forever to charge, y'all. So you're just gonna have to accept this. So let's see how much 5% will go if it. Ah, okay, good. But yeah, is there any other last minute requests that I should add to my list? If not, you guys could come in, not this coming Friday, but the Friday after, the 31st, the New Year's Eve Friday. And I'll put like a reminder in a community post. Actually, I'll schedule it because I think YouTube allows you to schedule things, so I'll schedule it. Or if there's feedback for like making a proper like live stream, you let me know. The next one will be on a computer, so we'll have plenty of like time. But I didn't expect to be on here for this long. I need to go and like practice my Duolingo Japanese. Okay. Let's see. Let me read the last bit of comments. I think it fits into the idea of looking at why individuals. Is my voice also pretty good enough? Because there's no microphones. This is just straight up the phone. So I might as well see what I just spent like almost $400 on. This strange world. The world is a post apocalyptic setting with a ton of really creative machines and moving cities. Cool. I'm also thinking of diving into the whole eco punk, solar punk thing. I think I'll be looking it up. It did get my answer. The movie was fine, and the movie really got the settings and backgrounds great, but the rest was kind of Shakespeare based on the books. Yeah, it's so good. But you can always do another stream. It's all right, and that came out great. The link and control voice audio. Okay, great. I'm glad it's good because again, they just force obsolescence. They keep on saying they want to save the planet, but then they force you to buy stuff that you don't need to be buying. I said it. I said what I said. This coming from, and it's not because I'm cheap, because I just spent, I don't know, $500-$600 on skincare. My skin is looking good. Also, I've had like 4 or 5 people asking for recommendations, but it's not. It's the principle of the matter. It's like I wasn't planning to. My phone is still, again, like this is still working. That's where the music is coming out of, but they're just like, we're just not going to support it no more, blah blah blah. They're going to do the same thing. Huh? Okay. All right. All right, folks, before the phone officially dies, I do appreciate, you guys coming in. Let me see if I put up some more light here. All right. But yeah, I do appreciate you guys coming in for this testing out stream. Um, you're free to come back and add comments to the stream if you have any ideas or thoughts that maybe you didn't get a chance to put in the stream. You could just put it in the comments. Check out the community tab. Like I said, I actually post relevant stuff there, or posting polls, or just posting from my sketchbook, which I'll probably post her in my sketchbook later. But yeah, I appreciate it. I really do. I do. I'm glad. But I'm glad you guys enjoy yourself, really. And yeah, depending on my schedule, and again, my neighborhood is loud. So there might be sometimes you'll be hearing like the loudest bass that you can possibly hear. Just, or kids, or whatever. It's one of those neighborhoods where people are just free living. It is 82 degrees outside on a December. I'm not a happy camper with that, but y'all, it is what it is. Yeah. Okay, guys. 31st, 10 p.m. EST time. That is a point. That is a plan. I might start a little earlier depending on how I feel. I might have 1,000,001 family members here speaking in mixed English and Haitian Creole. Uh, it is whatever. And I finished my wine. So, yeah. All right, guys. All right, guys. Keep sketching, keep moving, and I'll be working on that sketchbook challenge for January, start of the new year. All the best loves. See ya.